This is We All Be News and Radio.
Ron Hurd. Get up out of bed. Let's go. Let's go. Ron Hurd. That's the word. Get out of bed. Give me a jingle. My number 051. Get out of bed. Let's go. Don't be afraid. This is Herb Smith calling you. Herb Smith. All right, I know you're famous and all that kind of stuff, but let's go. Get out of bed.
And welcome, Black family, to another wonderful edutainment edition of the Artivists presents We All Be News and Radio. I'm your host for this empowerment edutainment segment, Brother Ron Hurd II, also known as R2, C2, H2, the Artivists. And this is We All Be. Family got a great one. We're trying to finish out this year in a strong fashion. Tonight's topic, of course, is We All Be Ferguson, 2014 Artist of the Year, Part 1. And people say, what the hell is an artivist? Well, that's what I call myself, and my own definition of what an artivist is a artist who is also an activist, a person who uses his or her talent to affect and impact social change. So a lot of us are artivists. I mean, I think about people like the civil rights movement, people like Dick Gregory, of course, Baba Gregory, who comes on the show all the time, like Harry Belafonte or Paul Robeson, Josephine Baker, people like that. I think about, Muhammad Ali was an artivist in his prime. People that actually use their talent as a platform to advocate for the voiceless and to bring attention to issues that affect the least of people in society, the supposed wretched of the earth. But anyway, that's my title, the Artivist. And every year I give out awards, whether it be We All Be Lifetime Artist Achievements Award, the people who really made a lifetime dedicated to the service of others. That's where you pay for your rent here on earth, as has been said so many times before. And also, I also try to highlight a personal organization that actually did some phenomenal good in the calendar year, which is called the Artist of the Year. Sometimes I have multiple winners, sometimes I only have one winner. But this year was very exceptional because of the fact that what happened in Ferguson, it shook up the world. It woke up a sleeping giant. And it would have been hard for me to try to figure out, who to give this award to, because really it's a people's movement. The people woke up, the people responded, and the people have committed themselves 100-something days counting to getting justice, whatever form of fashion they take. But I remember when Time Magazine had the Ferguson protesters as the second runner-up. And to me, I thought that was an insult, because to me, if it wasn't for those folks getting down in the streets and doing what they were doing, nobody would be talking about police brutality right now, the seriousness of police brutality, and also the seriousness of white supremacy, racism in this country. So those are very important things to talk about. And also I feel that, it is up to the people to tell their narratives. Like when Professor Howard Zinn, the late great Howard Zinn, the historian, he talked about a people's history. It is on the people to control their narrative. Because if the people do not control their narrative, then they always will be a minor character in their own story. They will whitewash the truth to promote the lie as the reality. That is the business of white supremacy, racism. And so I want to applaud the men and women on the ground. I have, over the last several days, tried to reach out to folks, organizations who are involved on the ground in Ferguson, and other people who, from around the country and even around the world, have came down to Ferguson, which is outside of St. Louis, to be a part of something that is bigger than themselves. This is truly the zeitgeist of the times, the spirit of the times. We'll see. However, this is part 1 of We All Be Ferguson 2014 Artist of the Year. We'll have part 2 tomorrow on the last calendar day, of the year 2014. I'm sorry, it's been a long couple of weeks. we'll get to the phone lines because we got people who want to talk and want to share their opinions about things. It's not just about Ferguson. It's bigger than Ferguson. You know, I look at Ferguson, this could either be the Montgomery bus boycott or it could be Selma, or it could be a lot of different things. And really, I was impressed because I've been down there several times on the ground in August. I even went to Brother Mike Brown's funeral. It was a hot, hot August day. And it was fascinating to observe all the things going on because back in June of this year, they were celebrating the 50th anniversary of Freedom Summer. So I was down in Jackson, Mississippi, attending the Freedom Summer Conference. So I had a great time to talk to the elders, not some of the young people, some of the professors and whatnot, about that exceptional time 50 years ago. You know, talking to people like Bob Moses and Dave Dennis and Mary Wright. You know, you can't do that every day. Not for me. But maybe I can do it every day. I had a chance to talk to my old friend Dick Gregory. He was a keynote speaker. But to imagine 50 years later that there's another strong social justice movement on the move and it's centered around police brutality. But this has been something that's been with us for generations, especially as it concerns people of color. So we're going to, get people's opinions on this. Feel free to call in. Area code 646-652-4593. That's area code 646-652-4593. Now, if you're scared to go in the air, we're going to open up the phone lines as well. So, yes, we're talking about Ferguson 2014 Artivists of the Year. Not just the good people of Ferguson in and of themselves who were participants, but also people came from around the country and around the world, and we was blessed enough to interact and interview people. But I noticed, I mentioned Freedom Summer. I want to bring up this point. I think it's very fascinating. When I was observing people in Ferguson, protesting, it's kind of like, I'm a history person. I'm into history stuff. And I was seeing people that remind me of folks I read about in the books. Like, when we talk about Freedom Summer, you got some iconic people. They might not be well known to the masses, but I think people like Bob Moses, Fannie Lou Hamer, SNCC, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. You think about those type of people. When I was on the ground, it's like I was seeing folks like the ancestors or something, or just people just playing these roles. I talked to one sister, her name was Angie Whitman, and she was a sister leading the charge of protesters against the Ferguson Police Headquarters. She actually, where everybody else was on West Florissant, she actually had a group of committed volunteers and protesters with her, really targeting the police headquarters. This was back in August, late August. It was fascinating because this woman, she was a small, short in stature woman, but she had such a commanding presence. She had big, grown men, even some men in the military following her every lead. And one thing that reminded me of Fannie Lou Hamer was the fact that she would use song to unite the people, to rally up their spirit. And so it was fascinating to see that because it's like the police were really afraid of this woman, when she was rallying up the troops, she was singing these songs, and she really had people in good spirits in spite of the very serious nature of trying to confront police brutality in this white supremacist system. So I remember I interviewed the sister, and I told her, you remind me of Fannie Lou Hamer, and she had this little twinkle in her eyes. She had this look like, oh, really? Really? I don't know if she knew the significance of Fannie Lou Hamer, but the fact that she was doing the spirit she was doing in, and she had folks really paying attention. She actually had, Chief Jackson come out, as she told me in the early hours of the morning, to talk with her, to apologize for what had transpired with his officer, Darren Wilson, and all the other stuff that happened. You also had local businesses, big and small, supporting Angie Whitman and the protesters. You had people like Little Caesars and Snooks, as well as mom and pop stores donating supplies, food, space to protest, things of that nature. It really was the creation of a beloved community. So that was very interesting to observe that, as well. And also look at the young people really tired of being sick and tired, as Fannie Lou Hamer said 50 years ago, really trying to figure this thing out. They're thinking everything is moving too slow for them. They want to move at a high speed, But where are they going to? That is the question I like to raise, and I like to talk to some of the elders as well as people on the ground to get a intergenerational dialogue going. So hopefully we'll have a little bit of that as well in this show as well as next show. But without further ado, we're going to take your calls, and we're going to go to the phone lines. Starting right now. Area code 929, you're on the air. Welcome to WeAllBe. How are you doing tonight?
Hi, I'm not doing very well, but my name is Jami, and I'm from Queens, New York.
Hey, Jami, how you doing?
I'm not doing well. I've been, have you ever heard of a targeted individual?
Yes, ma'am, I heard of that.
Okay. Well, I'm subjected to an exotic form of targeting, and that is changing all my biometrics.
Okay.
So my bone structure has changed, my facial features have changed, my skin has darkened, my limbs have changed, and that's due to nanoparticles that's in my body that has the capability to change my genes. And I had a scan of my body in June of this year, and it was found that I had about 6 or 7 RFID chips in the areas where I received cortisone shots about 8 years ago.
Okay.
And my medical records are tampered with. And I'm being this happened in the time where I was about to get a divorce and the time I was about to get a lawsuit settlement. So in revenge, they use the technology to disfigure and discombobulate my mind. And they are coercing me to have sex with police, which I haven't. But they're like, if you want your DNA back, if you have sex with the police and with white people, then you could get it back. Now, I had a lawsuit with an Indian, with my former landlord, who's from Bangladesh, and I have a lot of persons from Asia targeting me, and because at one time I was extremely attractive, and I also hold a master's degree in urban affairs, which is a branch of urban planning. In the recent years, I obtained that. And because I look Latino, I have the Latino community targeting me. So if I go to the supermarket, they know I'm coming there, and they have poisoned my stuff. And I've been trying to, for 2 years, reach out to the Black activist community or to civil rights, human rights organizations, and they will not help us. So I thought I would just, come and share this story. Now, I went on the Pete Santelli show. He usually deals with targeted individuals. And before I could even, say my story, he shut me down. And that's a white man, you know what I'm saying, who is supposedly on our side. And I'm being asked to have sex with white people, Indian people, and Latino people I don't really have sex with, to get my DNA back. And they're like, in order to get back to the way you looked, you need to have sex with people you don't like or the ugliest people, and then you get it back. And I think this needs attention. I do have a YouTube channel that documents and shows the before and after pictures, so you know what's going on, so you can see it for yourself. Now, I have to say that I've been a vegan, a vegetarian. I prayed, and my body was like dynamite. And when I was about 40, I looked to be 16 years old. 16. And in the course of a day, they put wrinkles all over my body. It's like they tried to Africanize my features. And this is what's happening to me. And the thing that's startling to me is that Black people are in support of it.
Okay, it's like area. Okay. I want to ask you how are you giving these messages to you? Like who is they? Like who is the out of they?
Well, the thing is, I never heard of targeting, so it took me a long time to figure. It took me a long time to figure that I was targeted, and so basically I was gang stalked. And if you look at the documents that of the former FBI director who owns his who retired after 30 years of working with the FBI, he says that there's gang stalking is a huge operation. Intelligence directs it. So that's one. And then there's a document called Joint Targeting, published by the U.S. Army and the U.S. Navy. And they make it their business to send civilian troops to target you. I'm going to say that document again. It's called Joint Targeting. It's a 135-page document, and it's produced by Navy and the Army. And basically, they use a lot of logos. They use a lot of logos and a lot of symbols to let me know what's going on. So, for example, I remember I didn't have, like, bone growth in my jaw, but there would be a man, and I have a videotape of it, sitting across from me, and he keeps touching his jaw as if there's, like, some bone in his jaw. Another thing would be they'd always bring the target bag. That's a very general thing they do. They'll bring a target bag. You know the stores, the shopping giant Target, they will bring a target bag in the hospitals and my place of employment to let me know that I'm a target, which lets me know that all rules don't apply to me. My civil rights, human rights, nothing applies to me, that I'm to obey their protocol. And if there's a certain part of my body that's being attacked, they will wear like spikes or like something that's glittery around that particular organ. So, or that body part. So, for example, before, I started experiencing atrophy in the part of my body where I had that cortisone shot, a lot of people would wear like silver or spiked things in their shoulder or on their spine. And if they're saying, if they want me to have sex with someone, they will wear army pants to say fight. And they also use DMV license plates to deliver a message. I've had my birthday all on license plates, my password to my phone, to my password on license plates. It would say something like ARF, ARF. That means bark, right? Mm-hmm. We know that ARF is like ARF, or that's bark. And then they have my password, and they would park in front of my house. So they use a lot of symbols, a lot of logos, a lot of different ways in a covert way to let you know they know all your business and to key other people, manning your area, information about you. And the thing that bothers me is this is such an extreme case, and I'm not the only TI that's experiencing that. We have several African American women TIs that have their bodies been modified, and they happen to be artists. They happen to be multi-talented. Mm-hmm. I know another lady. I won't say her name. She's a TI in the southeast region of this country. She's an opera singer, and they changed her nose. They changed her skin complexion. They blew her up overnight. I know another guy. He's Jewish. He's in Jersey. He's a former Hollywood producer, and they switched his height. This is done through nanoparticular matters, which is a huge area of focus in bioengineering. And they are testing this material on us, and many corporations are involved because they're invested in this technology because they want to either use it in their products or use it on their competitors. And this is hidden. And the thing is, it's like now that's the technical explanation, but there's an ethical issue here. Some people are on a moral crusade, and they're using a lot of race baiting to get hate groups to go after me and to go after other black women TIs. I have another TI. She's out in two sisters. They're out in they're out in Ohio, and she has Mexican hate groups after her, and they send messages via V2K, which the CIA refers to as signals intelligence, and through V2K they call her a nigger slave, a nigger slut, and they do all kinds of things. And I'm really I'm really imploring the African American community to get behind this issue. And I'm telling you, they're not. And that's why you've had a string of African American people taking matters into their own hands. Most recently, we had Myron Mays, an African American male prosecutor who went on a shooting spree. Prior to that, we had Aaron Alexis. He killed 12 people. Then prior to that, we had Yvonne Hilarty of Pennsylvania. She killed 2 people. She complained of being harassed and chemical spraying, and she didn't know she was a TI. And then in the middle of that, we had Miriam Carey, who said she heard voice. She heard Obama's voice in her head. And what they all do is they mask this as, oh, this person is just sick, or this, mentally sick or physically sick. And the thing is, if you get sick, there's a progression. If you get sick, if you have mental illness, there's a threshold. Now I'm past that threshold for mental illness, and I know I was a highly functioning, very healthy person, and I'm experiencing lots of atrophy. And I could say that I've been very active in the Black community, but the Black community, they're not behind me in terms of like standing behind me and saying, no, don't do this to her. What they're saying is, we can't control this, so why don't you just have sex, get your DNA back, and, that's how we can help you. But I don't think I was put here on the earth and worked so hard to say I'm going to sex my way back to health. And I think this definitely ties into the Ferguson case, because this involves hate groups. This involves medical battery. This involves police brutality. I mean, the list can go on and on. And I called a lot of people. No, I called Professor Griff. I sent him a text of before and after pictures. And that was during the change. I mean, I sent them pictures of me startling pictures. Never heard back from him. I called Ultimatics. Never heard back from him. I called the NAACP. Never heard back from them. I called Action. What do you call it? Al-Shabaab organization. Never heard back from them. ACLU. Never heard back. And let me tell you, other white people have contacted so many people. Their only audience is just themselves, or maybe a Pete Santelli. But a Pete Santelli, he's traveling the safe zone. He's dealing with, signals intelligence, like V2K, things that, most of the TIs experience. But most of the TIs are 80% white women, whereas Black women, we're in a league of our own, and we need support and we need help. And some of us, we're committed, we can't take it. Some of us are committed to mental institutions, or we're too sick to do anything. Well, I'm putting my voice out there.
Oh, I want to commend you. I want to slow it down a little bit for people to understand. You mentioned Myron Mays, the former prosecutor who went on a shooting spree, also known as the Florida State University shooter. He actually left a suicide letter for his friends to distribute and disseminate online. To talk about his, dealing with being a targeted individual, and also the Navy Yard shooter, the guy you named, the Lexus guy. He also complained of being a targeted individual, hearing voices and whatnot. I think this is, and Mary Carey complained of that as well. And I think I'm glad you called sister. Your name is Jamie?
No, my name is Jamie. My name is Jamie. I'm from Queens. I'm from Queens, New York, and let it be known, I've worked for the city of New York as a project manager. I got my master's degree in 2011 with a 3.9 average. I was like a intergovernmental liaison for the Brooklyn Hip Hop Festival. I got a whole bunch of elected officials on the scene. I volunteered for Hakeem Jeffries' run for Congress since the beginning to end. I'm also an accomplished singer. I am no effing joke, and I'm telling you the truth. This is nanomedicine that's being experimented on Black folks, and we gotta, we can't be silent on the issue. And they are terrorizing the Black population of the TI community. And it's the Black folks that's had enough. that's coming out in full force and running this thing, because the national organization for TIs is headed by a black man, Derek Robinson. A lady who got, finally the city of Richmond in California to, work with TIs is a woman by the name of Amy Anderson, a black woman. She's a co-founder of APAC. I created a PSA after 11 months of being targeted that got 9,000 views and is translated in multiple languages. Like, I am not a joke, and it needs to come out. Like, they know what's going on. I'm so light, I look white, and now I'm like yellow or orange. I have scoliosis where I never had that, and they're saying I need to sleep. They're saying if I want my body, my beautiful body back, I have to sleep and suck dick, and that's, excuse my language, and black people are behind that. And that's because I was a mover and a shaker. And when you're a mover and a shaker, sometimes you move in silence. You don't have to tell people, and they didn't like that. They didn't like the way I move. And I sing, and I'm an incredible singer. So it's like they didn't like that.
So, Ali, how can we get in touch with you? You said you had a YouTube channel, correct? What's the best way to get in touch with you?
I have a YouTube channel. It's called My Rosa Parks Moments. My Rosa Parks Moments. It's on YouTube. It has about maybe 11 videos. Mm-hmm. Also, my email is myrosaparksmoment@gmail. Okay. And let me just say something. This is so serious. They shrunk through the technology, and it's documented. You could go to the Journal of Science and Medicine and look up graphene, GRAPHENE, and nanoparticles. They have the capability of changing any solid material such as metal and bone structure. I mean, in a split second. So this is what they're injecting in people, and they are crucifying black people who have that, who have that Malcolm Latif Shabazz in them, who got that, that Jesus gene inside of them. They're crucifying us, especially the artists. So I'm an artist. They shaved through the technology. They shaved my vocal cords. They messed up my nose and my ears. They shrunk my limbs. They shrunk my lungs. And black people are sitting on this. I don't know how many blogs how many people I've written to, not one response except for one man, and you are asking me for my email and my YouTube channel. And I'm glad that you know about Myron Mays, Miriam Carey, Aaron Alexis, and there's another lady from Philadelphia. Her name is Yvonne Hillard. She didn't know that she was targeted. She couldn't take it. She was being chemically sprayed. And that could be done through silicone, because I was chemically sprayed and I didn't know how it was happening. And she took a Magnum 357, took it to Nabisco, and shot the people who were perpetrating her. Like that. Nabisco. Yes, Nabisco, and she was targeted. And the thing is, with black folks, it's like when these things first happen, we go to our doctors, they deny it. We go to the police, they deny it. We go to elected officials, they deny it. We contact human rights organizations. They turn their backs on us. So what do? We take the gun and we handle the matter in our own hands. But let me tell you, the government is picking TIs that are not tied into the targeting TIs to go ahead and go on these massive shooting sprees. They know when they're going to shoot. And they're picking certain black TIs to do that. That's not tied to the community.
Well, sister.
Just one thing. This is very important. Mm-hmm. If Myron Mays was connected to freedom, if Myron Mays was connected to me or other people, because I'm also an activist in that community, they wouldn't have mind controlled him to do what he did, because in his social media network, he would have had so much literature on gang stalking, on electronic harassment, so that they wouldn't want to pick him, because if he kills people and he's tied into the TI community, then they're like, well, let's interview his friends. His friends would be TIs. Let's look at his social media network. It would have a whole bunch of links to academic articles or maybe on nanoparticles or nanomedicine. They're picking people who are very ignorant of mind control and human experimentation so that if it hits the news, very little, can contrast what they're going to say to reframe the story on that particular individual.
Well, I would say this, what you said about the shooting sprees. I immediately thought of what happened in Brooklyn not too long ago with the two cops, with Brinsley allegedly killing the cops and then allegedly killing himself. He complained of mental issues. He tried to get help from the system, from what I read, for his mental health issues. And it was like to no avail. But also, I want to tell people this. I'm not, this is interesting stuff. Simply for the fact that, people talk about the recent CIA torture report. I don't know if you got the radio up or something like the computer up by any chance. I'm hearing some feedback. Mr. Ali. I'm
going to turn it off. I had you on a remote. I had you on an external speaker so I can hear you clearly. I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to unplug it.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's better. So I want to tell people this. This is very important because they just came out with the CIA torture report and Dick Cheney admitted to all this stuff. But back in the 70s, there was a guy named Senator Church, the senator from Idaho. He had the Church Committee report. They really investigated the federal government and some of the abuses made by U.S. intelligence, by the CIA and the FBI. They had all type of weaponry. They had umbrellas that could shoot darts, that could give you cancer, all this stuff. This is all documented. Just go online and Google up the Church Committee reports, and all this stuff will come out. And he ended up dying of cancer back in the 80s, Senator Church. You could think whatever you want to think about that. But this is a long track record, especially as it pertains to people of color. Never forget about the Tuskegee experiment. Never forget about what happened to Henrietta Lacks at Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore back in the 1950s. So these are very important things the sister is saying. I know it sounds kind of outrageous, but look at all the movies that are coming out about, look at the X-Files. Look at all this stuff. Sometimes it's easier to put the truth out via entertainment than it is to take it to the streets and get it out there. What if Malcolm X and Dr. King made movies instead of being out in the streets and street protests and leading rallies and speeches? They'd probably be as wealthy as Spielberg or Lucas or any of those guys. But what I'm saying is, we got the internet right now. You got all this information available at your fingertips. The stuff that the sister is dropping, the names, the terminology, you can easily access this on your keyboard, So get active in searching this stuff out, because I think there's something to all this stuff. And you got to be careful with the media. We don't control the media. That is why it's so important that we do start controlling our story and developing our media. So a sister like Ali could have a platform to tell her story. You might not agree with everything she's saying, but she has a right. She has the freedom of speech to say it, and she should say it, because that's the only way we're going to know if there's other folks out there experiencing the same thing. So, Sister Ali, I want to hold you. I want to move to another caller as well, but I want to keep you on the line. And 816, you all on the air. Welcome to We All Be.
Hey, what's going on, Brother Ron? This is LaRon Barton.
Hey, Brother LaRon, how you doing, man? Thanks for calling in.
Good guy. Of course, man. Good yourself. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm still alive, man. The Cowboys in the playoffs, I'm good. I'll make a joke. This is their playoffs.
Man, you know what? Oh my God. Bro. I don't even want to talk about that. Dude. All I'm gonna say is this, man. Like, as a Niners fan, I'm just mourning because one of the best coaches that we've ever had. First off, like, I'm so happy that Harbaugh is in a situation that he feels great, and not only that, but he feels appreciated.
Right.
And just all the fact that, like, what York has just all this BS that he said. I mean, how do you let go of a coach 3 straight NFC championships, one Super Bowl, and say that you wanted to win with class? I'm just like, how do you do that? But anyway, man, listen, dude, like, first off, man, I want to say I love your platform. And one thing that, you make a lot of salient points. But one of the more immediate things that you had said is that we need to control our own stories, which is 100% true. I think that through media outlets such as yourself, as well as shows such as Tariq Radio, as well as Jason Black's show, Sister Zaza Ali's show, and countless others, we're able to get a full 100% truthful experience of what it's like to be black in America, and not only that, but stories and information that's not skewed to make us look negative in any sort of way. So I mean, yeah, man. So I just wanted to applaud you, man, and just keep on doing what you're doing. What's the topic for tonight, man?
Well, basically, we talk about my name Ferguson protesters at the 2014 We All Be Artivists of the Year. I just basically went into like why they should be, focus on and be applauded for their effort. And we had a sister from New York, and Sister Ali, talking about being a targeted individual, what she's going through as an activist,
right?
Body changes, things of that nature, and it's been popping up recently in the last couple of years with black people complaining about hearing voices and all types of stuff, people telling them to do things, and I just think like, what's your take on all that?
Well, man, like with everything that has happened to us in the past, I mean, not even, with the Tuskegee experiments withstanding, I mean, black people have been routinely used as almost guinea pigs and or crash dummies. So, with that being said, with the history of, that we've been in this country, how we've been subjugated to so many diseases unwillingly, and just the fact that we've been test experiments, I don't doubt any of that, man. I mean, this is America. I mean, so we've always been the most despised people living here. So when I heard the sister talk about, being sprayed with chemicals and this and that, I don't doubt it. Like, at this point, nothing is off the table right now. I mean, everything needs to be considered. Everything needs to be looked at, because right now, man, it's a war going on, man. I mean, I think that us as black people, we need to understand that hey, you know what? It's really ramping up, and I think 2015 is going to be even more of a tremendous, or not even tremendous in a good way, but just more of a rumbling year than 2014, man. I'm thinking shit's really gonna pop off, man. So yeah, man, I definitely don't doubt that sister for saying that.
But the thing about it is they put pesticide in our cornflakes and GMOs, all types of stuff. They call food ain't really food. I mean, you got Ferguson and Inc. from Monsanto doing what they're doing. So I mean, we're lab rats, we're guinea pigs, we're crash test dummies.
Absolutely. We're
anything but really people considered in this system. And that's been my problem with a lot of things, because like I look at the Ferguson protests, I look at the people dying in. That's what they want y'all to do. They want y'all to die in their system. The system is not made to recognize your humanity. It's not made to accept you as a human being. So why are we fighting to be a part of a dying system? And that's my problem with a lot of things. I don't see any solutions coming out of it.
That is such a great point, man. And I've been questioning that myself. A couple weeks ago, during like the big national protests, I was a part of the one in San Francisco, and I witnessed a couple of things. First off, like I saw that there was a lot of people that got involved, which bringing attention and bringing light to black people's most serious issue, especially for black men, is always a great thing. But what I saw was the movement slightly getting co-opted. You had people talking about, you had people talking about gentrification, as far as rents being too high. You had other ethnicities bringing their issue in, and you had like people talking about losing their jobs, and so I was like, okay, so it's starting to be watered down.
Right.
You had, and no disrespect to any of the white allies out there, but you had a lot of white folks that were were on the megaphones, that I was like, okay, why are they speaking about this? And finally, man, it was almost like you had like other groups saying, I mean, because the whole thing was supposed to be Black Lives Matter, right?
Right, exactly.
But then you had other people saying, you know, blah blah blah, lives matter. Then you had this yell, all lives matter, and it's like you know what? That's taking focus on it, and I'm sorry, taking focus from it. And so what I thought, I was like, you know what? Like, I don't know if these protests are the way to combat this issue, because one of the main things that I saw is like, this is a nationwide protest, right? So It means that you have to get permits to do that protest. So how are you going to fight the system when you get permission from the system? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh,
so I just thought, yeah, man. So it's like, Ron. So I was like, you know what? This is not effective, man. I mean, and you know, I'm down for the cause. I'm down for fighting, man. But it's just, I don't know that, and just, I mean, there's just so many things that have just been taken, folks. I mean, right now you have this nationwide sympathy towards the police. And, man, you know what? Hey, you know, my hearts go out to those two officers' families, because that is a shame. No one should die unjustly. But let's not take focus off of the fact that Eric Garner was lynched. Let's not take focus off the fact that Mike Brown's killer, Darren Wilson, walked free from a quote-unquote mock. I mean, it wasn't even trial, man. It was a mock hearing, and McCullough knowingly used a witness who was not only a racist but did not tell the truth. So I'm just worried that this movement, as great as it is, it will be buried, not only because of it being co-opted by other groups, but also because of, you know, it could possibly be overshadowed by the police killing. So, you know, I'm a little concerned about that.
You know, when you said that about the grand jury thing, I immediately thought that, you know, it was a farce. Not only was it a farce, it was a Civil War reenactment. You know, because you have Civil War reenactments, and you already know how it's going to turn out, right? So this was a big old Civil War reenactment in one of the most Confederate states in the Union, which is Missouri. I call it Missouri. I call it Missouri. I don't call it Missouri. Right. It's Missouri. That's what I call it. It's Dred Scott rails for black folks, okay? But the thing about it is, it was Al Sharpton, I remember his thing, talk about all lives matter. No, they don't. You know, for every, you know, those two cops who killed, may they rest in peace, but it's thousands and thousands of untold numbers of people of color, in particular black men and black women, that have been brutalized by this system. And for these folks to tell me that there's a solution in this system for black folks, you might well tell me to put my head in the lion's mouth and hope it don't close on my head, okay? Exactly, so this is what we're doing. There is no solution for black folks in this system, period. Because if I talk to legal scholars and stuff like that, and I ask them straight up, can a black person get justice in this system? And they say no. So what that tells you that's stupidity, that's insanity to keep on doing the same things and only getting the same results. To me, it speaks of a people that are afraid to acknowledge the reality, because if you're going to acknowledge the reality, your solution is not really line blocking highway traffic. Your solution is, if you're going to deal with this, you got to be economic. You got to deal with the economics. You got to develop an economic base.
Bruh. 100%, man. You know, man, Ron, so real. Let me tell you something, man, bro. Like, it's, you know, 2014 taught me a couple things, right? First off, that every black person, every person of color, man, they don't see things the way that we do. And it's like this, you know, and specifically with black folks, man, like, it's so sad because there's so many black folks out here cooning. I mean, and it's like, it's 2014. You don't have to be a coon. So you have a lot of black folks, like for example, I have a homeboy of mine, and I really don't mess with him anymore. We were talking about the Eric Garner thing, And he said, well, you know, LaRon, Eric Garner died because of an asthma attack, and Eric Garner died because he was resisting. I was like, dude, he was not resisting. What part of that tape did you see? Then the brother, he goes on and says, well, you know what, police don't mess with me as long as I treat them with respect. I said, dude, it's not about you. That's one of the things that black people, we have to understand. It's as a group. Listen, Oprah Winfrey probably doesn't get fucked with by the police, right? But she is black, so she's a part of a group that routinely gets messed up. Routinely gets messed with by the police. Secondly, there is, you know, you would think that we would have unity with a lot of other minorities. Not true, bro. I spoke with this sister of color a couple weeks ago about the marches, and she was like, I don't understand why you are marching. You guys are just tearing up stuff. Yeah, I mean, just totally ignorant. So that was the first thing that just eradicated for me. Secondly, we have to understand that there's a lot of white folks that are either apathetic or that they just don't care, man. I mean, it reminds me of the scene in Boys in the Hood when Ice Cube is like, they don't know, they don't show, or they don't care. Right. And that's the thing, man, dude, because it's like, hey, you know what? A lot of them, they're not getting killed in the streets, man. So, you know, this doesn't directly affect them. And finally, man, our president, he don't care, man. I mean, dude, we have to write Obama off, bro, because dude, it took him 4 days to issue a response to the Ferguson riots. Dude, that was our Arab Spring. So 4 days went by, and then he said some tepid response. Then after the Michael Brown verdict, whatever fallacy, whatever you want to call it, he gives this pathetic little statement and then rushes off, does not answer any questions. So, you know, at this point, man, we have to realize black folks, you know, certain people of color that are down with us, along with the white allies we all we got, man, and that's a small core, man. So we have to stop looking for people to save us, and it's just like what you said, Brother Baron, it's just like what Tariq Nasheed says. We have to build our economic base. We cannot fight this with marching, man. It's like, how, you know what, like Dr. Umar said something that was so salient. He said they know how they treat us is wrong. They know that, so we're not going to shame them into stopping it. So at the end of the day, we have to do this on our own by creating our own businesses, by supporting each other. There's a brother in San Francisco now. He runs a coffee shop, and you know what, man? Like, I can go home and I can make some tea myself. But you know what? I make it a point to visit his shop at least once a week, just to give him money. We have to support each other, man. Like, we have to realize the value in being black. We cannot run from being black, and we cannot act our way out of white supremacy, racism. It's not going to happen, man. You know.
I mean, you made some great points, and I definitely agree with a lot of what you said, because I think it's important that we come to a realization that we have no friends. Okay, we have no allies, really. Right. We have no friends. All we got is us. And really, I would not write Obama off in terms of not, you know, cheerleading for him, but I'll make him do his job. It's like what Franklin Roosevelt told A. Philip Randolph about, you know, when A. Philip Randolph told Franklin Roosevelt about the discrimination against blacks in the military industry complex. Franklin Roosevelt told him, I know all that's going on, but you got to force me to do something. And like Frederick Douglass said, power concedes nothing without a demand. But we must be organized in our demand. We must have something behind our demands, because everybody who get something out of Obama in this administration period, they have strong lobbies. They have people that writing checks that don't bounce, and they have people on the ground, foot soldiers pushing their agenda. Black folks, if anything, if we can't unite on anything, one thing we should be all united on is police brutality issue. We should make that a part of the agenda for black people, if anything else, and start putting resources behind that. I want to challenge black people in these last 2 years of the Obama administration to really find a way to create institutions out of this momentum. Because really a movement is not judged by how many marches and sit-ins and die-ins. It is judged by the institutional results, like how many institutions were created, how many policy changes, things of that nature. I think of somebody like a person who really embodies the idea of what I'm talking about is the late, great Marion Barry. He was the first chairman of STIC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. And when he came to D.C., he was not thinking like a politician. He was thinking like a public servant, a people's champion. Because what he did was he saw that Washington, D.C. was a majority black town, but 3% of the government contracts were going to black people. Only 3% in a majority black-owned town. What he did was he actually created a black middle class and a black wealthy elite. By the time he was through, 47% of the government contracts were going to minority-owned businesses or black-owned businesses, okay? And also he did not put down the working class or poor black. He made sure that all the kids had jobs in the summer. He even had brothers come out of prison in the prior programs, getting them started, getting them a foundation to build their own businesses and to create generational wealth, to help kids go to college. See, the thing about it is he understood the game. And a lot of people today, they don't understand the game. They understand the complaining and whining. It's like you look at football, and a football player don't like the call that the ref made or whatever. They whining or complaining about the call. Or like in basketball, where a star basketball player might not like the call that the referee made, and while they're arguing with the ref, the other team is developing the play, they're already down the other end of the court, making the play. So we have our eyes off the ball right now. We are not focused. We're too distracted. Because even with all these killings, there's a lot of these killings going on. We know about it because of social media, not because of mainstream media or corporate media. But this is all systemic issues. If we get rid of the system, or if we do something to get some type of leverage in the system, then the police brutality things will disappear. But until we get our economic things and stuff in place, that won't happen.
Right. But I mean, like, at the same time, though, man, like, when I say, all right, so you said let's not write Obama off. How do we not do that when he recently made a statement where he said he doesn't think that the United States is inherently racist? And I said to myself, I was like, you've got to be kidding. Like, how do you say that when this country was built on slavery? So if you are a black person that's taking that sort of approach when you're not even being honest with not only yourself but with your constituents, I mean, it's like, how do you work with somebody like that, Brother Ron? And I'm being honest when I should this question, because it's like I don't know. I mean, I don't know about him anymore.
Well, with politics, you got to take the emotion out of it. When I say don't write out Obama, I ain't talking about being in love with him or he a spurned lover. I'm talking about more so use him like he used us. Use him like he used us to get elected in 2008 and 2012. He could say whatever he wants to about the Hispanic vote and the women vote, but he always had 100% black cooperation vote, okay? And that made the difference. And because we don't control our media and we don't understand who we really are, we always let them downplay and browbeat us and thinking that we're nobody. But every time they get mad, they want to say, well, the blacks vote. The Asians don't vote. Asians don't really vote that much. What they do, they got businesses. They control the economy. Because I don't have to vote when I control my economy. I can appoint judges. I can appoint people. I can buy politicians. I can buy policy when I control my economics. That's the name of the game. It's the economic thing. It's like, we got to go from being the largest consumers to being one of the biggest producers. And we're not doing that because our mentality has been warped by dealing in a system that dehumanizes us. You know,
right.
black life is very cheap. It's cheap labor. I mean, it's free labor. Yeah. So we got to reprogram. We got to detox ourselves from this system. And it's ways to do it, but then it's gonna be a long struggle because we've been going through this for 500 years. So we're gonna go through another 500 years.
Absolutely.
Detoxing. Yeah.
Well,
but not saying from emotional, they be logical about it. Don't because these is like, okay, it's like Malcolm said it best 50 years ago, you know, in his speech, Message to a Grassroots or the Battle of the Bullet. He talked about how the Democrats and the Republicans were like foxes and wolves. Well, wolf approach you with their teeth showing while the fox hides their teeth. But they all part of the canine family. So understand that the Republicans and Democrats are all part of the same corporation.
Right. I can totally dig that, man. Well, I mean, well, you know, let me ask you another question, man. Like, what do you see as far as the All Black Lives movement, the Ferguson? You know, I mean, where do you see that going in 2015?
I don't know, man. That's a good question. I was thinking about that today. So I was thinking about look at the Montgomery bus boycott. In comparison, they talking about we've been out in the streets for 140 some days. But there's really no focus. I mean, there's a lot of energy. There's a lot of activity. But the thing about the Montgomery bus boycott, we're boycotting the buses, right? We're going to attack the economic structure. And they were able to do that because they had institutions. They not just had, I mean, you got to think about it. Dr. King just didn't pop the sky like Terminator in the first, Terminator movie. He didn't just pop the sky but naked and say, okay, you the guy, right? They had organizations already with E.D. Nixon with the Pullman Ports, with the sister with the book organizing, and, the women's clubs and stuff. They had, black business class. They had control of their black media. They controlled the radio station. They had things in place that could allow them to boycott a white supremacist system and hit them in the economic pocketbook for 381 straight days. I don't see that happening right now. Where is the focus? Because it's not a frenetic energy. Now, you got people on the ground. You got a lot of grassroots people on the ground. You got organizations out there. But what do you want from the devil? If you're going to make a deal with the devil, what do you want in return for your soul?
Right.
Because you're dealing with the devil.
Right. So, I can dig that, man. Like, it's almost like a lot of it is just simply just energy. I mean, it's like what you said. And with the Montgomery bus boycott, dude, like, what was it like? A year and
381 days. 381 days.
So it's kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier, man. It all comes down to economics, man. Look, people don't understand nothing but money, man. I mean, it's like again, we need to stop trying to appeal to the goodwill, man, and just trying to be good little Negroes and this and that, man. Look. It all starts with the dollar, man.
And
once we get on that page, once we all get on that page, Ron, man, and I think you hit the nail right on the head when you said we all need to unite around police brutality. And there's gonna be some coons out there, like for every brother Ron out there, man. There's like 30 Barclays. There's like 10 Stephen A. Smiths running around the corner. Right. You know what I mean? So it's like, I mean, it's a small group, man. But I mean, we got to do it.
We definitely can do it. I like the march because everybody wasn't marching with Dr. King. As a matter of fact, he had a large number of black ministers that hated Dr. King guts. During the Montgomery bus boycott, Daddy King was forced to come up to help Montgomery to bring his son back to Atlanta because the black ministers didn't like the fact that now he was getting out of pocket. They said, Daddy King, get your boy in order. And Dr. King, to his credit, said, no, Dad, I'm staying here. I'm not going back to Atlanta. And years later, Daddy King really appreciated that his son did that because things could have been different. It was pulpits in Alabama churches that Dr. King could not even preach from. He had like 10 or 12 churches in Alabama that would not even allow Dr. King to speak from the pulpit. Okay.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, like Reverend Wright, Obama's minister, he said when Dr. King got killed in Memphis, he had ministers in Chicago celebrating with their congregation. You got to think about, when you read the letter from a Birmingham jail, who was he addressing? Dr. King was not addressing the everyday working class black folk. He was talking to the clergy. He wrote that letter. Read that letter.
Wow.
What he was talking about. He was talking to the everyday working class black folks or people out in the streets. He was addressing his peers. And then, because they feared him. I mean, he had tried to do a fundraiser in Houston, and somebody put a stink bomb in the ventilation system, which actually caused him not to raise any money, and he had to evacuate the building. So he had all this hell dealing with his own peers, okay? And those people don't understand. That's why he had to form the SCLC, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, so he could have a platform.
Right.
But I also want to say with the Montgomery bus boycott piece, it's interesting. I want to say this one thing, which is very fascinating if you don't understand. There's another part. That's why we should really look at the Montgomery bus boycott as a model of what we could do with an economic boycott. Towards the end, the city of Montgomery realized they were losing money. So A.G. Gaston, who was probably the wealthiest black man in the state of Alabama, he was the one that Dr. King and the SCLC, when they was in Birmingham doing Project C, they would stay at his hotel. He also would help with the bail money, but he was the wealthiest man of color in Alabama. He had a brother named S.B. Fuller, who was the wealthiest black person in the nation. He had a hair supply company.
Right.
They actually approached Dr. King and said, you know what, these white folks, they losing all this money. They want to sell the bus line to us, the bus company. And Dr. King said he didn't trust it. He was kind of apprehensive about it. Now, if you fast forward to April 3rd, 1968, he's talking about black economics and black nationalism. But that's like, years later, after the success of the Montgomery bus boycott. So what I want to see the people in Ferguson around the country is, okay, focus that energy. There's a lot of energy going on, but focus that, and let's demand something. Okay, let's demand something from the devil or from Goliath or from Caesar, or whatever you want to call this system of white supremacy,
right.
racism. Let's actually demand something and really stand behind what we demand and really be strong on it. Let's develop the organizations. Let's develop the economic base that will allow us. Because one thing, also, they was able to not ride those buses because they had organized carpools. We had brothers coming back from World War II and the Korean War. We had brothers coming back home. They wanted their freedom. They wanted their rights. They were Buffalo soldiers. They were black soldiers coming back home. Because the thing, and people don't understand, too, a lot of black women were being raped by bus drivers and police officers in that area.
Wow.
And they stopped that, by them organizing, okay? So we don't talk, it's certain things. See, the civil rights movement was all about the black man and black woman getting back together, about the black family. And then everybody else came along with their agenda. The women's rights, the gay rights. Everybody co-opted that blueprint. But the civil rights movement was all about the black family getting together on one accord and becoming united. Because you look at the Mississippi Freedom Movement, and I know it's about Ferguson, but this is very important. I'm going to get to the phone line, so people be patient. You got some time. The Mississippi Freedom Movement was started by black entrepreneurs, not white college students. We had black entrepreneurs and business and middle-class black folks and educated black folks that started that movement, working-class black people. Dr. T.I.M. Howard was the wealthiest black person in the state of Mississippi, right? He had his own medical practice in Mountain Bayou, one of the oldest black towns in the country. He built the first black swimming pool for black people in the state of Mississippi, okay? He owned several businesses, had his own little mansion-style ranch house. He also gave Medgar Evers his first job out of college selling insurance for his insurance company. He also trained people like Fannie Lou Hamer as well. And they had started a thing called the Regional Council of Negro Leadership, where about 15 to 20,000 black folks would meet in Mount Bayou to discuss economic empowerment, voter registration, things of that nature. So you had like 15 to 20,000 black folks meeting in Mississippi to discuss economic, civil, and human rights, right? They'll bring in people like Thurgood Marshall and Otto Clayton Powell Jr. and Charles Diggs from Detroit and Dawson from Chicago to speak to the people. They had entertainers like Mahalia Jackson come down there to sing to them. But they were doing this back in the 50s, though, man. This is not 1964 Freedom Song. This is back in the 50s they were doing all this, okay? So black folks, this movement is about us because black folks always been the vanguard when it came to human rights, in this country. We always at the forefront of all that. So we should never forget our roles in history. So go ahead, sir. I'm sorry. Now we'll go to the phone line. We're going to some callers 202, you on the air? Dr. Randy Short?
Yes, sir.
I was under hip. How you doing, sir?
I'm all right. Something cooked my phone, so that's why I'm calling you much later than what I planned.
That's fine.
I just wanted to give you cheers. The Montgomery bus boycott of Dr. King and them had continued to do boycotts in every city versus trying to their hamburgers, White Castle folks getting it, probably masturbating in our food behind our back, trying to get us to not eat there. We'd have our own places. You'd mentioned something that was close and dear to my heart, and that is nigger preachers and Dr. King. When Dr. Martin Luther King Southern Christian Leadership Conference was trying to organize the Great March on Washington for jobs, freedom, and voting rights for the District of Columbia, my bishop told the SLC representatives that met with him that Dr. Martin Luther King was a communist being led by the devil and that he was not going to have his people take control. Whether Dr. King's movement benefited black people or not, they would not support their movement for good or for worse. He wasn't welcome, and everybody in his church was told, if you follow that communist nigger to Washington, I'm going to be at the door of heaven telling God not to let you in.
Jesus Christ.
And there were whole cities, Houston, when Dr. King, I think it was Dallas or Houston, which one of the two, it makes a difference. All the black preachers of the city were at the airport to tell Dr. King they were going to kick his ASS if he came there. Dr. King couldn't go to Columbus, Georgia. The preachers were there to get him. The biggest problem that we have in this country is nigger preachers. A couple of people the other day were remarking that the Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Khamenei of Iran had tweeted that Black Lives Matter. Isn't it interesting that
seriously?
Ayatollah, it's on CNN, yet the Church of God in Christ can't do it, AME can't do it, Confused Methodist Episcopal, they can't do it, AME Zion can't do it, Foursquare Gospel can't do it, Primitive Baptists can't do it, Progressive Baptists haven't done it, National Baptists haven't done it, the Jehovah's Witnesses haven't done it, the Seventh-day Adventists haven't done it. My God, black folk, why do these people get your money if they don't even think your life matters? And damn it, then you should keep your tithe. That is the biggest boycott we need. Not one of these nigger preachers should be able to invest in another Lexus or a Cadillac, and he won't put his fat pack of hot dogs neck. You know, they have necks with steps on the back that the grease come off when they're talking, and they have all the salt in the church after they finish talking on Sunday. He shouldn't get one nickel from anybody, not even one of those old pennies you see in the street where they've rubbed Lincoln's face off because they know he did something to help black people. They shouldn't have one. Watch all these fake mega churches close. They're the biggest problem we have. They don't even sing music like black folks. They have white dance ministers coming to teach us how to dance. White people going to teach us how to dance for God? Oh, my God. Wow. I mean, just T.D. Jakes, his little closet self, I said it about him. His son was the one that got caught exposing, his private part right in the public park in Houston. Y'all know where that is. You know, I said it. It's on the news. I'm not mad at Jermaine. I think Jermaine is honest. I'm mad at his daddy. I'm mad at Creflo Dollar. I'm mad at Eddie Long. By the way, all the people left me gave over $25 million to hide the fact that he liked little boy booty. I knew that like 15 years ago. I mean, they could have saved one, just gave all them a check for a week, and we could have created a black bank in Atlanta. That's some real expensive boy booty because it's real free everywhere in the city. They won't even cover up their behind and let you see it. $25 million in church people money.
Wow.
And so, I try to keep it humorous, but I'm being honest. You know, it's outrageous that, and the same thing, wait a minute, I'm not going to let nobody off, all the wannabe Arab Muslims, some of the sorriest Uncle Toms of all times, think because you got an Arab name and they still trade blacks as slaves that you free. Your name is Kamal. You go into jail smoking weed just like Kevin and James. We got all these Negroes following racist Pakistani and racist Egyptian and racist foreign imams and can't talk about black folks. I was in a masjid right up in Jackson, Tennessee, and they had Jim Crow seating practically.
Wow.
So, I mean, Malcolm X, if Malcolm X was leading us into being another group of, pardon my language, butt kissers for another group of people where we won't deal with our issue in the United States, he can keep that brand of Islam. I'm not trashing the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, but I notice everywhere else Muslims be fighting and black Muslims over here want to go on a Hajj. That's like a Negro that wants to go on convention when the cop shot your mom in the head. So we need to cut off not one penny for any religion, and I won't even get. Let me tell you something. I got to go off on niggas of the Jehovah's Witnesses. You know why black folks are Jehovah's Witnesses? Nobody will tell you this, but I'm gonna tell you.
Okay.
You know the Jehovah's Witnesses, the ones that are not chosen by God, those are called the Jonadabs. When the earth is remade, everybody black will get to be white. That's why those niggas won't fight for nothing. God so made them. They won't ever have to stand up. You can go check that thing out too. I mean, no. Why any? I mean, yeah. You come to a magazine, ask them how many blacks get paid to publish that stuff they're selling. Yeah, you watch me wipe my you-know-what with your watchtower if you come up in here. If you can't stand up, there's never been a cause. The founder of the Watchtower Society was a white supremacist. The black woman that started the Seventh-day Adventists was a white supremacist. They taught the black people subhuman. You didn't know the Seventh-day Adventists was started by a black woman passing who didn't like black people?
I did not know that. Wow. I did not know that.
And we all going to church. We all holy. It blows my mind. I mean, white Jesus is the biggest drug on the street. It's followed up by this being an Arab makes you a Muslim. People who are not Arabized Muslims fight for what they believe in everywhere. But in the United States, you got Negroes ready to fight in Palestine and Syria, everywhere. But they can't do anything in Huff. They can't do anything in Ferguson. They can't do anything on Beale Street or Black Bottom in Chicago. And you calling yourself some kind of Muslim just because you Muslim, you black and militant. That's garbage. That's like saying you black and Christian and you know Jesus is a black dude that doesn't stand for no crap for the oppressed. Most of them don't know.
Brother Ron,
go ahead.
I like to ask. I like to ask Brother something. He made a lot of really good points. Mm-hmm. Some. I mean, like for me, like I think Malcolm X was the greatest black man to ever walk the earth. So it's hard for me to hear criticism about him. What I do want to ask this brother, and dude, you made a really almost damn near amazing point when you said that Eddie Long and or T.D. Jakes, none of these guys have tweeted out Black Lives Matter. Why do you think that is, man?
Well, one, I'm related to Malcolm X and Elijah Muhammad distantly. That's just a fact. What I said about Malcolm X, I want to stand on that. He didn't lead us into an Islam for black folks to kiss folks behind. That's what it's become.
Right.
And that's why I jump up in every Muslim's face. This wasn't what Malcolm was talking about. I mean, I had Malcolm tapes. I mean, listen to him so much. I think when I hear him on TV, it's me. So I'm very clear about Malcolm that this isn't what he wanted. I just want that clear. So, no, Malcolm X is basically a Christian saint for me. If I have a church, Malcolm X picture going to be right up there with Jesus. And unless Jesus gives me a stroke to making me take his picture off the wall, it's going to sit up there. And all the Christians who don't like Malcolm X on the wall, then they can go somewhere and find a little fake preacher like Eddie Long to lead them. Malcolm stays, and I'll put Nat Turner up there. I'm going to give him an afro, bring him up to speed. But very simply, I haven't heard, in fact, the Church of God in Christ wrote a really mealy-mouth letter to the mayor or the governor of Missouri and ask them to kind of do something about what happened. That's about it. You haven't heard because these nigger churches get 501 slavery money or 501 enslaved me money, and they all want to work for FEMA to put us in camps. And so these churches all over the country, these preachers are on the clergy response team. They're government employees, just like the people in communist Russia or communist China. The preachers work for the state. Just like the lawyers don't represent you, they work for the bar, the same bar that has the grand jury say that you didn't get shot to death on video. We need to demand, if you're my nigger preacher, you're not on FEMA money. You taking my money, taking my mama, my grandmother, my great-grandmammy's money. You can't have the white man's money that's leading us to a FEMA camp. In fact, if God wants his time, he'll have to come and take it out of my cold, dead hand before I give it to one of these nigger preachers. And the nigger imams doing it, too.
Well, Dr. Shaw, let me ask you this. What about the ministers and the religious folks down in Ferguson, the people that have come down to Ferguson and got tear gas? And try to be with the people. What do you say about them? Are they in the same class?
Been tear gas 50 years ago. It's good. How come the churches didn't get burnt down? They burnt down 60-some-odd churches during Freedom Summer in Mississippi. Let me tell you something about the nigger preachers in Missouri that I saw. I had a meeting with Imam Akbar and Baruti. Those preachers, most of them, they were sent in by the authorities to shut that thing down. I know folks who were activists, there were preachers out there identifying activists to be rounded up by the police. The nigger preacher is a traitor with a white collar on or with a rag on his head. A nigger imam, them too. If you're not for your people, you don't represent God, you represent your bank account. You made a statement, money's their God. Money is the black neck's God, even more so than white folk. At least white people worship money with white people's images on it. A black neck worships money with white people's images. I mean, that dude is a slave economically, slave mentally, slave spiritually. We need to boycott. In fact, every black artist, you haven't heard many of them say anything. I don't like football playing blacks. I don't like basketball playing blacks. I don't like hip-hop and black folks who rap. If you haven't done a damn thing about all these people being shot and killed, you can't even hold your hands up like those weak Negroes did at the Rams Stadium in St. Louis. Why are we supporting all these black necks? We need to economically retaliate against the traitors in our midst. I may not be able to crush Bank of America, but I can destroy T.D. Jakes. I can destroy any fake sellout. We did it to Sammy Davis. When Sammy Davis kissed Richard Nixon on the buttocks at the Republican National Convention in Miami, black people burned and destroyed his records, threatened DJs. Sammy Davis got black, or he got blacker once he realized we hate him if he hates us. Right. I can't stand all this love in our community for our oppressors and our traitors. We should hate somebody, but not the person across the street that you can't even shoot straight and you hit the 3-year-old with a stray bullet. We need to hate our enemies who oppress us, and we need to hate our traitors. Yes, I mean that. The day that some of these people start recognizing that there's going to be a consequence for me betraying my own kind, it will become a lot harder for people to do that. And let's include all the little nasty foreigners with the stores and stuff. The food's rotten anyway. You don't have to wait to get it home and try it. You know it's no good. All these people should be cut off. Why are we letting our boys die and our girls die selling weed when they could sell blueberries or watermelons? We've got enough farmland left. Why not have the folks sell some string beans and greens instead of weed? And repackage dope that other people got the best of. I mean, let's do something. But we should punish, retaliate. Yes, I'm a Christian. Let God correct me. I can't stand my enemies. And no one's smacking me on one cheek or the other cheek. They're not smacking my mom's cheek. And be glad. The only thing that we owe these people, I'm talking about these black neck traitors like Jesse Jackoff and the others, is an ass whooping.
Wow. You know, it's interesting you said about football players and about, growing berries and selling that, our young people selling it instead of weed. It was actually a football player recently who retired from football. I believe he was a center for the Rams. Yeah, he's a farmer in North Carolina. He got about, I think, 10,000 acres. If I'm not mistaken, he got a lot of acres of land. He learned how to farm by looking at YouTube videos. And he's giving away a lot of the food, to people that need it. So he actually did something I thought was very smart.
All the blacks in pro sports need to quit because they end up broke at the end of their career anyway. And they got all of our young people fighting over 1,200 jobs, killing each other, thinking that, if I'm just good enough, not using my mind, just using my body, I can have a whole bevy of white girls and use drugs and have my own tennis shoes manufactured by people in another country. What? This is insane. I can't stand the cult of sports and Negroes. It's not even that old. It's only been the last 60 years that black folks have all been into this sports controlled by white people. The black pro sports leagues, the baseball leagues used to keep our communities afloat. We need to stop going to the stadiums. We need to start finding some places and just playing amongst ourselves. Maybe we can play with the Spanish. They don't go to church on Sunday. Have a soccer league with them. I mean, there are enough of us. There are 120 million of us. We don't need them. We need to leave them behind. We need to leave them alone. Black folk are like an abused wife whose husband's got AIDS and syphilis, and she can't get enough. She figure if she wear a football helmet and pour concrete in the coochie, she won't get beat no more, won't get no more disease. There's no way around what we're going to get from these people.
Well, go ahead.
A black neck will never be anything but a traitor. The traitor black people, like Charles Barkley, who looks like a Pekingese with the skin rash so there's no hair on him. I mean, he shouldn't be allowed to travel anywhere without a hail of bricks and bottles from folks in the community.
Wow. Well, actually, I know Sister Ali. Are you still there, Sister Ali?
I agree.
Yes, I'm still here. Yes, I am.
Yeah, I want to talk to Brother Randy, Dr. Short. This sister, she's been a victim she's a targeted individual. And it's like she's been trying to get the word out about that awareness in the black community. What is your take on the target individual situation as it relates to black people?
Well, look at what they've done to Reverend Pinckney. Reverend Pinckney's in jail right now. I'm just getting over my cold. I just hawked a second ago. I hope I didn't hear me. I got this thing in St. Louis. It's been kicking me for 3 weeks. Reverend Pinckney, an African-American minister, a decent one, who, by the way, in Benton Harbor, not one nigga preaching Benton Harbor will even back him up. So he's all by himself. They put him in jail, all-white jury, convicted him of voter fraud. He didn't do nothing. So he's the main person that was speaking out as a black person against targeted individuals. And look at what they did. In fact, I think the man that shot the police up in New York is a targeted individual.
I agree with
profile.
That. Yes.
Okay.
Well,
and
Dr. Randy Short?
Yes, ma'am.
Let me just say I'm a very high-profile targeted individual because I worked in New York City's intergovernmental affairs. Do you have feedback? Am I giving you feedback?
I hear a little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
You hear me clearly? Okay. So
yeah.
I'm very high profile because of who I worked with, what I did, and at one point I made a lot of money. So I have a lot of people involved in my targeting. And three groups that have been targeting me very heavily are Asians, specifically Indians and Latinos. And I have been somewhat successful at getting the word out about targeted individuals via freedom from covert harassment and surveillance. Right? I within my gut, I kind of feel like the Latino cop and the Asian cop was killed as I think that was planned for those two to be killed, and it's tied in with my targeting because I've been speaking up about it. I've been saying that I've been targeted by Indians, a Chinese somewhat, and also Latinos. I somehow think it's targeted, and some people say that was a false flag. And I find it very interesting that Obama would appear at that funeral. Biden would appear at that funeral. The police commissioner, Brett, and also Mayor de Blasio. And those are people, Mayor de Blasio, I was supposed to have a meeting with Mayor de Blasio, but that never, but that fell through. I somehow think it's related to my targeting. But my form of targeting, Dr. Ronald Short, Dr. Short, I apologize, is very severe. It's exotic. Many targeted individuals, they get the run-of-the-mill service. They get the V2K, they get the gang stalking, they get the electronic harassment. That's what TIs typically get. I get body modification. My limbs have shortened, my organs have shortened, all my biometrics have changed, and it's connected to hate groups, and it's also connected to the police. I've been told covertly that in order for me to get my DNA restored, I need to have sex with Indians, Latinos, white people, especially those first responders. And I'd like to know, what do you think about that? And what can I do? I mean, what can I do? Because Dr. Pinckney, he's in jail. I mean, Reverend Pinckney, he's in jail. But he's not a TI, and his whole body is not modified. Mine is, and many black TIs, many black female TIs, our bodies are starting to be modulated and modified. And I'd like to know how do you advise?
You know, when it comes to TIs, other than just being riveted by the news, I don't have an easy answer. That's all I can tell you. What I found and what I recommend is we've got to, my thrust for you is, hello?
Go here.
Yes, I'm here.
My suggestion, because it will not come through the local or American media, is to find some scientific people in the alternative media to continue to push it. It could get out, but it's not going to come out through, and the black side especially won't come out, because the independent alternative media right now is quite angry that black folks' issues are now the center of attention. So there's an upside to the Black Lives Matter, but I don't know if you're aware, these folks are now writing and they're complaining at the international press for talking about what's happened to black folks. So now you come with this, something that's even more explosive. It's not going to be picked up by Alex Jones and these other folks. Don't touch our stuff like that. They do some of it as little as they can. So you've got to find, and like I said with you perhaps before, I have met someone that I think recently that would be willing to look at it, but we'd have to have the scientific evidence.
Right. I know who you're talking about. I mean, you're talking about at APAC, Africans Against Covert Technology?
No.
No. I've been in touch with
APAC. I know some of the people in APAC. We need to get them to get this with some of the Russians, some of the Chinese, and the other people. This is a good time in spite of me not having a complete answer to you. I'm always honest. When I don't know, I don't know. But the people of the world are looking at America. I know within the last week, it's taken me 2 years. I finally got an international press to put out that black people are being poisoned through fluoride in the water this past week. And so more of these things are available. People are now, their eyes are opening. So don't give up. The doors, all these protests have just opened the door for all of the stories to come out. And that's the best way I can tell. Keep knocking. I did this television thing for 4 years. I was talking about the police murdering young black men 2 years to the day before Michael Brown was murdered. 2 years ago, when on the 9th of August, 2012, I mentioned the police murder of our young people would cause explosions in America. It took them 2 years to hear me. Keep pushing. Sometimes that's the only thing. Keep pushing. It will be heard. Just don't count on anything that's American-based. It can't be American-based.
Well, my brother, Dr. Short, I just wanted to say that I've been in touch with MIT's bioengineering firm, and I'm trying to get a hold of this lady by the name of Paula Hammond. She does research on nanotechnology. There's plenty of evidence.
The silent weapons, silent warfare.
No, she's an MIT researcher. She focuses on nanotechnology. She uses nanoparticular matter to shapeshift metals, I would have to get into that another day. But I understand how this technology is being used. There's like foreign particles in the human body. It's called nanoparticulate matter. It needs heat and it needs electrical current. And this nanoparticulate matter, when the body is heated up and has electrical current in it, it can modulate your genes. It can destroy them. It can regenerate genes, and that's what's in many of the TI and many of the bodies of TIs. We also have chips, and the chips have receptors to receive currents and also to receive data from a remote source. So I pretty much have figured out how this is happening. But I have been in contact with MIT's School of Bioengineering, and they focus. And I'm in touch. And I'm trying to get in touch with the professor who focuses on using nanoparticulate matter to reshape material, both human and physical. So that's what I'm doing right now, because now that I have, the document, the data of how this is being done, and the motive to test this technology on us, it's all systems a go. But I want to thank the host of this show. I'm very thankful for him for allowing me to, discuss this, what I'm going through. Thank you for the platform. And he even asked me, how, can he get in touch with me? And I'd love to, talk with him, and I'd love to connect him to other African-American women who are being, severely tortured by this exotic form of technology. I can get you in touch with at least 3 or 2 African-American women TIs whose bodies have gone from one end of the spectrum to another, and a majority of them, a fraction of them, I should say, are performing artists, including myself, and they also, I believe, hold degrees. So, but this has to come out, because you cannot just pluck somebody's life out of obscurity and say, because they're talented, because they're highly skilled, I am so jealous, I'm going to use this technology to totally destroy their life. Last year, in 2013, I could produce evidence, my paychecks. I made about $2,500 a week. Now I'm making minimum wage, and I'm on public assistance. This is the first time in my life, and I do hold a master's degree. I have a 3.9 average, and I have a legitimate background. So something happened. You can't go from one end of the spectrum to another in a split second, because when we think about disease, it takes time for a disease to maturate. It takes time to get from one end of the health spectrum to another end, atrophy. And so I've gone through changes in a snap of a finger, and it is due to the technology. I'm going to stop talking because I've spoken too much, but I want to thank the host for just allowing me to share this story, and thank you, Dr. Short, for not dismissing what I'm saying. Thank you very much.
Targeting of individuals is real. My uncle was targeted, and he died in 2005 or 2006. He used to carry the button box for the president on Air Force One. And he had all kinds of challenges, and they told him that there was no problem, and he died from Agent Orange and other things. They watched him die over the course of 30 years. It does, too, happen. Oh, I can't explain how everybody, but it does, too. They've been targeting us since we've been over here. They were targeting us before we got here. The whole Catholic Church, with the Treaty of Tordesillas, targeted black folks for enslavement and abuse in the 1490s. We've been targeted a long time. So, I mean, they may have changed the goalpost, you know. Just because a person puts on a condom doesn't mean they won't give you AIDS.
I would say Dr. Short and Sister Ali, and I want to add another caller into the mix. This is I'm glad that everybody get a chance to express themselves. And this is one thing that need to come out this Ferguson thing. What Dr. Short talked about, the international alternative media folks being upset that black folks are being talked about so much in the news cycle.
American, not international.
Well, American, excuse me. But we need to build a strong black media. Yeah, we need to build a strong black media right now. The Negro Leagues of black media, if we got to. Because we got folks out here reporting on things that won't get the corporate or mainstream approval. But among ourselves, there's enough interest and we got enough technology where it's easy now to disseminate this information. And there's no excuse why we can't do it right now in the spirit of the times. So I want to go to area code 302. Welcome to We All Be. You're on the air, sir, or ma'am.
Hey, this is Dr. Issa, man.
Hey, Dr. Issa, how you doing, man? Welcome to the show.
Oh, man, I'm doing okay. I just wanted to, I just got back from St. Louis 2 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
One of the prominent protesters was arrested while he was with me. His name is Josh Williams. I don't know if you saw some of the media reports about it.
I know who he is, but inform our people about this Josh Williams guy. Tell us what's going on.
Yeah, he Brother Josh, I spent a week with Josh. We were in the same hotel in St. Louis. And on Christmas Eve, we went down to Berkeley, which is 2 miles from Ferguson. And on a call that a young man was shot, Antonio Martin. So we drove down there. And Josh was out there from day one regarding Mike Brown. And so seeing this young man land on the ground, we got there. He was shot at 11:15. We got there around 11:40. And his body was still there. The police officer was standing over his body. And, a crowd started building. And you can see Josh. Josh is, about 6'1", but about 160 pounds. And you saw him blow up with anger that night. And there's a image of him. I left around 12:30 because we were trying to get them to come and take the body. Someone said that an ambulance did come between 11:15, 11:20, and the time that we got there, but I didn't see one. So I was out there screaming for the ambulance to come, along with a lot of people. So was Antonio Martin's mother and his girlfriend. And according to a video that's circulating, Josh allegedly set fire to a building, a Quick Trip, but it was quickly extinguished. But somebody was filming him do it, and I can tell you this is what I know about Josh. Josh is 19 years old and extremely impressionable. And I don't know who told him to do that, but it was totally uncharacteristic of him. And it was almost as if whoever told him to do it sat there and watched him while they filmed him do it. And it's kind of sad because, he had been in... I'm sorry?
Dr. Issa, can you tell them what folks call, I call it dick trips, they call it pig trips. Quick Trips are the stations where the police spy on black people in St. Louis. And all over down there, they those out one after the other. So I have my suspicions because, folks, everybody's trying to burn one of those. And I'm not going to say whether I disagree with them. I said I called it dick trips.
Well, I just want to say, because he's right now, he's in jail with a $30,000 bond, and it's almost as if the protesters have forgotten about this brother. And he was the darling of the movement, and the police had an eye out for him. They wanted to get him because he's the one that stood up at the march with Al Sharpton and took it over. In D.C.
Well, brother, we need to put that together. You know how to catch me. That's something I know I can move. Maybe let's look at how we do that. That can happen.
Yeah, it's really serious because
no. And brother, I also want to bring up that hanging thing. I got someone that's interested in that Delaware hanging. I've been working at trying to find someone. Someone talk about that switch-hitting son of Biden who's running for governor and him covering up the mass killing of black folk in Delaware. So, no, and we need to connect it. It's all connected. It's all connected.
Right, most definitely. So also I just got word about an hour ago that allegedly a police officer in Ferguson was shot. So I don't know how true that is. I guess we'll get the report tomorrow.
But you know, God works in mysterious ways.
Oh, Dr. Edson, I want to ask you this as well. You saw the body of Antonio Martin. Do you see any weapon near his body by any chance? You see a gun or anything?
No, I didn't see any there. But I went and talked to the mayor of Berkeley, and because my aunt lives in Berkeley. You know, for the listening audience, they must know that St. Louis County is a part of St. Louis. It's not like Ferguson is 500 miles away from St. Louis. It's literally like 2 miles from the border of St. Louis. So there are a lot of municipalities that surround St. Louis. So, no, I didn't see anything, but I did talk to the mayor of Ferguson and the city manager, and they claimed that it was a gun, but I haven't seen it. People are now saying that it was actually a cell phone that he was reaching for. I'm starting
they're different stories, because the story I heard was that the police told him to lay on the ground. They came up 4 deep in the car and told them to lay down on that cold concrete, because I've been to that gas station. And the young man didn't want to lay down. And he pointed his hand, and they said it's a gun. That camera is the gas station camera. They had no body cams on. And until we have people monitor that stuff, I don't trust their film. I don't trust the flag. I don't trust Obama. Why do we believe in white folk? I don't even believe in black necks. Okay, so let's be honest. There are people there, and we need to remember that very night, because I was watching the feed. I wasn't there. Remember, they tear gassed and they beat the people, and they've been arresting people ever since. And they had that little black-necked mayor in Berkeley who will lie and say it's different there, but we've got the data that blacks are 4 times more likely to be arrested, even though whites are more likely to have contraband than blacks. It's another situation. Berkeley, the court system there was a St. Louis, there's a St. Louis paper I was just looking at. I'm looking at it right now. Let me go to the title of it. St. Louis Post-Dispatch claimed that the city of Berkeley, the court, systematically imposes illegal fines on black people. Imagine going to the court and they tell you owe them $1,000 and you better pay them for nothing. That's what that city does. That nigger mayor does it just like the other mayors do, and they rob and they steal from the people. This is what they do. We should always vindicate our people. I don't believe anything that anybody white says until I've heard from enough black folks to make my own opinion. Those people were the victims. So you mean to tell me that this boy with his woman and his baby and his friends are going to pull gun on 2 or 3 or 4 police outnumbered? That's kind of stupid. It doesn't make any sense. He didn't do it. It's a damn lie from hell. That's all these folks do is lie, kill, and steal. It's right there in the Bible. Kill, steal, and destroy. John 10:10. That's who these devils are. when are we going to stop asking why is one of ours laying face down on the pavement? The reason one of ours is laying down is because enough of theirs aren't laying down face on the pavement. That's the reason his face was down there. Had he had his gun out and shot them, we wouldn't be asking why he was down. He didn't have a gun. They've even said there were no powder burns on his hand. They were able to do all that testing, but they can't explain where were their body cams. Where is the dash cam? Where's all the stuff that people...
Brother Randy, even with the body cams, they even said, the black mayor said that they only had 3 body cams for the whole department. And I'm like, are you serious?
The body cams was a scam. As I said to folks, remember Marion Barry's funeral was this month. This guy, Eric Holder, this Barbadian, this devil, this dog, spent over $40 million to get Marion Barry to look like he was drugged, when it's obvious if you saw the tape the man was trying to get some. More power to him, at least it wasn't a man. And they spent $40+ million to get a straight man trying to get with the straight woman in jail. And for the whole country, you just have $3 million for body cams. I don't care. They're going to corrupt. They've got some way to digitize that the same way they do with the D-ball voting machine. And they will manipulate the images and that stuff, and they'll make it look. They'll probably have something in there. They'll have the Negro with the gun app to put the gun in the Negro's hand. Believe me, I'm sorry. I grew up all white neighborhood. Okay, you can't tell me nothing. Oh, all of them lie, all of them cheat, all of them steal, and you know what? They know most black folks feel inferior and put up with it. That's what they got working for them.
It's one thing I haven't heard about the Antonio Martin thing, because they claimed that he had run-ins with the law, and that the police department knew him well. And my thing is this: what was the relationship between him and that cop that killed him? I mean, do they have some type of relationship in terms of...
But I'm going to cut that across. They know all young black folks well when they're taking their pictures when they're 5 and 6 years old, like they do in Los Angeles and Chicago and here. They're trained to know them well, because the police are nothing but slave catchers. I mean, the city of Ferguson has 60,000 outstanding warrants. If you have a quota to produce, then you've got to bust every mail, and you've got to have paper on all these people to keep your job. I mean, why are we even talking? Was this devil that shot this boy part of that police force that the Justice Department itself disbanded? Why are we even talking about white police, black police? All the police should look like us. All the judges should look like us. If you don't like us, get the hell out of our community. We even want those jobs. I don't even want folks selling me pork strips if you're not what I am. That's what we got to be.
Yeah, I understand that, but what I'm saying this, the reason why I said that, because you can recall the case from the 80s up in Bronx, the Larry David, right? He was selling drugs for the police department. They sent the SWAT team for him. And if he didn't survive that, we would never know the truth. Right, what I'm saying is, I'm from Memphis, man. I can tell you all types of stories. I don't give a damn the officer is purple. It's about your character and your integrity. Because we had black police officers that did all types of crazy stuff in Memphis. Like, one guy, he
the
killed...
black policemen, they the worst kind.
Yeah, but
the black pig is the worst pig of all. They call them boars.
Boy, I like that. But what I'm saying is, I'm trying to get our people to think beyond what the white folks in the media is telling them. You got to be a little bit imaginative, right, and think and be a contrarian nigga, be a devil's advocate sometimes. Because the thing about it is, I just can't accept this boy is dead for that reason. When you got white boys shooting up movie theaters, you got white girls killing their instructors with Uzis, you got white boys killing state troopers and going up into the mountains, and they all get catch alive. They get caught alive. Kill whole families. They get caught alive. You know, that's a problem.
I got someone from Ferguson calling me up right now. This brother's on the front line, the black nationalist. Hey, man, I'm on the phone with Brother Hurd in Memphis. What you hear about them shooting this boy at that gas station? They lying, saying he set a pig trip, or I said dick trip on fire. If he did, I can't hate him. Have you heard that?
No. I mean, with what's going on out there in Berkeley, that's what you're referring to.
Yeah. Right.
It's another damn example of these pigs out here just trying to annihilate us as a human race. But what's really going on that happened on that situation, you pull over a Charger, and you pull over that Charger, okay? Now, I want to take y'all on a ride. Charger gets pulled over by the police. The Charger is filled with 2 black males and a female suspect. That's a child's mother, and there's a daughter in the back seat. They get pulled out the car. Everybody on the ground. So everybody's on the ground fearing for their life like we all would do at that time. And here you go. This one man who reminds me of me says, I'm not going to get on the ground. He said, get on the ground. He pointed to the ground. I'm not getting on that ground. Officer opens fire and kills him. That's right. Officer would have opened fire and killed me too because I'm not laying on the ground. I would have told him in his face and walked straight to him.
Other eyewitnesses that he.
No, I've talked and heard this from eyewitnesses.
Right. I know. I'm agreeing with you. This is the story that the media won't put out, brothers.
Okay.
Go ahead and talk, man.
Here's what I'm saying is that on the same situation, by me being out here in St. Louis, I've seen this ever since I'm 36. I've seen this 20 years when I was 16.
Yes, sir.
When they pulled me over and pushed me up against my car, searched my balls, searched my trunk, searched all my CDs, searched everything. How'd you pay for this car? Get your ass up out of here. That's what they told me. While the gun was cocked. And here we are in 2014. And my my generation of my youngsters are going through the same situation, the same scenario. And Brother Short, no disrespect, okay? England want to interview. Germany want to interview. I'm like, if y'all not going to help me at this point, I don't want to talk to nobody because I'm like disgusted right now.
Yeah, that's real.
I gotta go in the house and lay down. Brother Sharp been in my house. I gotta go in my house and lay down. And when I get up and wake up, it's gonna be my problem, not their problem. I'm tired of that.
Well, hey, brother, we were talking about Brother Josh.
Yeah.
And that video at the Quick Trip of him allegedly lighting the Quick Trip, a trash can and something inside, allegedly, you know. And it reminds me when Brother Sharp brought this up, because, brother, I'm also from St. Louis. I'm from St. Louis, and my people are from Berkeley and Ferguson. And it and I was out there that night.
You know what it do out here.
Oh, I left. I was forced out of St. Louis at 18 because of the police.
Me too. That's why we need to holler. You don't have to explain nothing else. You don't have to explain nothing else, but we need to holler at each other.
The police killed my father in Bellefontaine in 2006. So I know.
I lost my daddy in 2006.
How these people go. But with Brother Josh, I'm just shocked at the lack of leadership. That was the first time that I spent a whole week with Bishop and all these other cats.
Right.
And for that brother to be out there like that, now listening to Brother
What
Sharp,
brother you talking about?
Huh?
What brother you talking about?
I'm talking about Josh Williams. Josh Williams. The one that they say allegedly lit up the Quick Trip.
Yeah. And what happened off of that?
I mean, it's been all on the media.
I don't follow the media.
All right. Well, no problem. I won't even bring that up.
I'm sorry about that, but I
want to ask you what. No, I want to. Dr.
There's a reason behind that because okay, go ahead, brother.
I want to say this because I'm glad I went to school in St. Louis actually. So everybody got St. Louis ties to a certain degree on this phone. But what I'm thinking is the fact that you had leaders that went to the White House, right? They was appointed by Obama to be on commission. You got all this hoopla. Why is it a problem to raise $30,000 worth of bail money for this brother? If everybody's getting money to stream, the stuff going on in the area, if people getting notoriety from Rolling Stone and all this other stuff, why can't they raise bail money for this brother? There's $30,000.
I can answer.
Look, I can even get even deeper.
Okay.
I even got a national bail bonds company that I know the brother who owns it, who said he would bail the brother out if somebody in St. Louis who had a job making at least $30,000 a year was signed for him. And I talked to this group called, it's a group, check this out, it's a white group called Jails Report that allegedly bails everybody out. And we were at the jail the night that they arrested him. And nobody called back.
Go ahead.
No one has called me back about getting this brother bailed. Now, today I found out that that they had an arraignment yesterday for bail reduction, and they're waiting for the quick trip to come to court to see if they're going to come to court. And if they don't come to court, then they're going to reduce the bail. And I'm like, this cat got to stay in jail another 5 days?
Wow.
And this cat was like the face of the alleged movement.
So talk to me, brother.
Wow, that's crazy.
I saw that Al Sharpton when he was at National Action Network. I saw that, Go ahead.
Brother Hurd, this is Jamie Ali from New York. I think your show is a great place to, to strategize, ideas of how to, take care of the brother, who's trying to be bailed out, or to, resolve certain issues. And then some people listening to the show can serve as point persons to disseminate those ideas that we brainstormed out into the general public.
I definitely agree with you. That's why I do. I mean, I think that's very important. I'm gonna do another show tomorrow, but I'm just very concerned about the fact that this brother is languishing in jail, and I see all these folks on his Twitter feed talking about this and that. They doing all these things. They so busy. It's like they being productive, but they're just busy. Are they being productive, or are they being just busy? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Because what is the objective of just sitting out and stopping traffic and holding your hands up if you can't get nothing done? What are the results? What is the objective of this movement?
Here's one radical idea. If they're looting stores, why don't you loot the cash register and use the money from there to help bail out the brother?
Can I say something to that? Can I say something to that?
Go ahead.
Effect?
Yeah.
Y'all don't mind?
Go ahead, sir. You got it.
Okay, we live in a generation. You got to look at our generation. Okay? These are kids that are grown now that they told us, you better not whoop their ass. You better not do this, that, and other. So we were trained on how to raise our own children, even though we resisted. When we resisted, what did we find out? We can be facing charges.
Right.
Okay, now this generation is grown, and they disrespectful. They're living their life so confused. Grown men is walking around now at 21 years old with skinny jeans on. Okay? Grown women are walking around right now with baggy jeans on. What's wrong with that picture? Now we ask ourselves, okay, where did we go wrong? We didn't go wrong. Here's what we can do to help this whole structure in this situation. And I've said it, and I'm going to say it again. It starts right in the middle of the transition of when they could become kids and adults. That's 12, 13, and 14. You can touch them right then and there and tell them, number one, we ain't scared of you. Number two, we here for you. Number three, we love you. They don't know that. Now, when we was in our generation, when we was little, we had the 80s generation that would check us and say, hold on, wait a minute, blood, cuz, whatever you was, they would say, wait a minute, you ain't about to come down my street disrespecting because I'll fight you. We knew that we could not go that far. They have no boundary. We need to bring the boundaries back and let them know, look, we care about y'all, we respect y'all, but at the same time, you're not finna take over this world. You're not gonna have it. Not with that mind state. But build them up as leaders, and they all ask the same question: how do we do it without the help of the oppressor? The police need to get out the way. The government need to get out the way. And if they don't want to get out the way, we got to push them out the way.
You got to understand, Harvey, bro, we got a council, and that council that we have, you know what I'm saying, it does exactly what you're talking about now.
Yeah.
It allows us to self-govern our own communities without the assistance of the government.
And we need to do that, brother. And we got the people that can do it, man. We got the people that can do it. We on the phone with some people that can do it right now. Right. And we paved the way, but now we need to replace it with we hiring stickers. Like,
a lot of people don't know the full capability of a council. Man, you got to know what a council is, man. It's designed for oppressed nation or discriminated nation to build a community government and progress, you know what I'm saying, to Congresses and black nationalists to have foreign ties concerning Pan-Africanism. It allows you to establish an identity for your oppressed nation, man. And, you know, motherfucker got to take in consideration, man. You say you want the government to get out the way. Shit, they got to get up out the way when we demonstrating this council shit.
You're right.
They got to get up out the way because it's authorized for us to do this shit for ourselves independently.
But we need enough of people who have the same ideology, and I know everybody on the phone does.
You think so?
The question that, let's do this for a second. Let's do this for a second. Ask everybody one by one, what does a council consist of, and how do you organize it, and what are the benefits? Don't everybody speak at once?
Wow, that's a good question.
A lot of us on the phone. I mean, really, come on now.
I mean, people don't even know how the civics work, though. I mean, people don't know how to even do civics in this system, let alone what you just talking about.
Before you speak, brother.
This is Brother Ron, I'm the host of the show.
Introduce yourself before you speak.
Yeah, this is Brother Ron, I'm the host of the show, y'all, on my show. But what I'm saying is people don't have no – the problem is this. Before you get a gun, get a book sometimes. Like, people always want the gun, the book, like the Black Panther Party. Before you get that gun, let's get you some books and learn about the law. The problem is with all the stuff that y'all talking about is that people don't have no basic understanding of how this system works as it stands. We don't know our rights, a lot of us do. We don't know laws. We don't know how things get done. That's why we have the confusion on the ground. You got an army with no generals. Where are our generals? We got an army, but we got no generals. We got people afraid to get killed or to die or believe in something worth dying for as well as worth living for. So, I mean, there's a lot of issues we got that won't be solved tonight. But what I want people to do, I got to cut the show off now because we're running overtime. But I want to thank everybody for being on the line. But I will have another show on tomorrow. And I want people to come back if you can. I'm easy to reach. You can reach me easily. My contact information is everywhere. So I want to thank everybody. I want to take no more time, but I want to thank everybody because this is very important to me. This is very disturbing because I see some of the mistakes we're making that we made 50 years ago.
Right.
But also I see a lot of great things. I see a lot of hope as well.
I love that. That was deep. I felt that.
Mm-hmm.
You right about that, though, when he say shit.
Everybody out here, I mean, it's like I'm talking to myself.
I'm saying, I asked.
That's what it feel like. Like I hear your voice, but I'm like, where are the other voices at?
I asked you to ask everybody. You know what I'm saying?
And I did.
And I was listening and laying back in the cut to see what everybody was gonna say.
And I did.
Because it's very important to quiz comrades, man, on them type of topics, so we can have a full understanding what is a motherfucker really capable of demonstrating. Because you can't demonstrate something if you don't have the knowledge of it. You know what I'm saying? If all of us call ourselves revolutionaries, but don't nobody know how to revolutionize nothing, somebody's faking.
Somebody is a damn weasel.
So we got to.
So wait a minute. The sister got something to say. Let her talk.
Well, first of all, I have a degree. I have a master's degree in urban affairs.
What's your degree in?
Urban affairs. It's a branch of urban planning. It looks at the.
Why you weren't saying nothing?
Well, the thing is, my issue is great. You know, I'm a targeted individual, and I'm subjected to electronic harassment and body modification.
I am too. And then
right.
I'm subject to talking about electronic. I'm subject to physical altercations, mental altercations, and I got 4 children and a wife to support.
Right. So
I'm living every day that yeah. If I say the wrong word, they can take me out now.
Right, right. So hold on. I have something very practical.
Hey, Harvey.
Hold on. I have something I have a practical solution.
Go ahead. I want to hear her.
Right.
Go ahead.
So basically, you're trying to fundraise some money to get this person out of jail, right? To make the bail. So the question is, what did you do to raise the money, and maybe we can come up with some solutions. I mean, one thing is to get, buckets from the dollar store and have, each person you come in contact with, give $1. And I'm sure since there's riots and there's lots of people there, you will come with the money that you need. But the thing is, what's being done to fundraise? What are the strategies that you use? Are you on the ground and online? Like, what are you using?
That's deep.
That's very practical. That's very practical. We need to get the person out of jail.
What are you doing to answer that question?
Say it again.
No, I'm talking to my brother. I said, what is he doing to answer that question?
Which one you talking to? Who you talking to, Harvey?
Talking to you, brother.
You asked me what I think about what you just said. Listen.
That question, she said, basically, what are we doing?
I didn't even know y'all was talking to me, bro. I didn't even know y'all was talking to me.
Okay, so very quickly, I'm talking to you. You're in Ferguson, right? And
I'm not. I'm not in Ferguson. I'm not in Ferguson, and I also don't necessarily believe in fundraising 100%. Okay. I believe in independently. I believe in independently having jobs and people taking some of the percentage of their paychecks and investing into the movement. I also believe that there's other ways you can raise money other than just fundraising.
Oh, okay.
And if you want to be technical, organizing and fundraising is two different things when it comes to organizing the community from a Congress point of view.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I got the fundamentals. I got the fundamentals of how a government works. I got that, but I thought the larger question was how do we?
Hold up now. You got to understand that when you say government, you got two types of government. You got the government that the United States of America demonstrate, which we don't necessarily agree with, and we have a government that the oppressed people call, but we don't call it government. We call it People's Social Republics and Councils. It's a different form of organizing and a different form of conduct. So your view of government might be different than our views. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Because us as oppressed nations, we view governmentism on a more social and more cooperative and a more political and more of a separation point of view. Democratic centralism for the oppressed nations.
Okay, on that
note. Can I talk to my sister?
Go ahead, bro.
Sister, you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay. Where are you from?
I'm from Queens, New York.
Okay, so you're on the New York side.
Yes, I am.
I've been in upstate. I've been in Buffalo, New York. I've been in, the upstate of New York. I've never been in the city. But here's the thing that I've recognized. You understand struggle, right? You want to do something about struggle, right?
Yes.
Am I wrong or right? Tell me. Am I wrong or right that you want to do something about struggle?
Well, yes. I have been involved with helping my community out, the black community out in particular, which is why I'm a little bit shocked that they are non-responsive to, what's going on with me.
Wait a minute. That's all I want to hear.
Okay.
Because everybody is not everybody that you talk to, okay, including me. And including these brothers on the phone and everybody else you talk to. Now, in St. Louis, you might have not been here. I ain't been in your hood. I ain't never been in your hood. I ain't never been in Brooklyn. But I respect Brooklyn. I'm an artist. I respect hip-hop. And I respect you as an individual. And you've been through things in your life out there where you been, right? Harlem, Brooklyn, all of that. You've seen it, right?
Yes.
So what bothered you the most? It ain't got nothing to do with St. Louis. What bothered you the most?
Complacency.
Huh?
Complacency.
Explain it.
Well, for example, I will talk to an African American male, and I'll, share with him what's happened to me. I'll present him. I'll talk to African Americans. I'll say, boom, I found, I had a radio frequency spectrum analyzer scan my body, and it's been detected that, 6 or 7 RFID chips have been found. I'll show them videos of the changes that I've undergone as a result of, human experimentation. They'll say, okay, I see the proof there. And I'll say, what do you think that's right? They'll say, no, it's not right. Do you want to help me out? No, because I'm too comfortable. I told this Jamaican man what's going on. He agreed with everything I said. He said, Johnny, people don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to move past their comfort zone. They're not going to help you because it's going to be uncomfortable for them. So that's what I mean about complacency. People know what's going on, but they won't do anything. And Edward Snowden, the guy who works for Booz Allen, who leaked the documents that, the government, NSA in particular, was spying on everybody. And he was asked by a German interviewer, what's your biggest fear, after you've, leaked all this information to the American public, to the American public. And Edward Snowden said complacency, that they won't do anything about it.
Wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that's what he said. That's what he said. It's not about wrong. Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute. Before we go off into that, because we all on the phone for a reason. The Almighty, He's powerful. Y'all know that, right? He's so powerful. We all on the phone right now. Imagine this power that's on the phone right now. It's big and it's powerful. I don't know what's going to happen. Y'all don't know what's going to happen. But we know what's going to happen. We share the same commonality of it's going to happen. Can everybody agree to that?
Of course.
Yeah, it's bigger, yeah.
Whoa. We don't need no understanding. But do we all agree to that?
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree.
That's all we need. Okay. Moving forward, we don't need explanation. Who's going to explain it to us? Are we going to do it? No, we're not. We're not equipped for that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get out that. Let's stop that right now. Because here's something serious. Okay? The sister just gave a testimony. Did y'all hear that, brothers?
Mm-hmm.
That was the testimony of what she feels. So can we get past the fact of what we're going through to hear this sister talk? And let her talk. And figure out what we're going to do next. That's New York. Now, sister, you still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so now my question to you is, brothers are talking across the whole country. Are you willing to hear them talk?
Of course.
Okay, that's all I need to hear. So we got to understand it.
I tell you, I've been the biggest ally.
Wait a minute, sister. Wait a minute, sister. I'm not trying to cut you off. Never that. Don't think that. Brothers, I'm not trying to cut you off. Don't think that. Never that. But what we have to find is common ground. Here's what makes sense. We have a problem that we're facing in this country. What they've never seen in this country is unity. Are we going to keep going? Sisters, brothers, are we going to keep going? Let these people not see us combine across this whole country that we on the same path. We hurt for the same thing. Why are we going to let something small come in the middle? We shouldn't do it. We're not going to do it. We're not going to do it in our organization right now. We're not going to do it. But
now, what are you saying is small, though? What are you saying is small, bro? What is that?
What I'm saying is small?
Yeah, you saying something about we're not going to let something small. What are you talking about?
Okay, let me hear something small. I'm going to tell you. Okay, sister, you there?
Yes, I am.
Here's something small to you. I heard everything you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it would take for me to say, I understand everything that you said, and I'm willing to help you, and let's talk with each other. That's very small. It could be big, and I could have told you, I ain't got time for that. The problem with us is very small. That's what I'm saying, brother.
Mm.
It's very small. This sister is filling her soul out and saying, I'm tired of this. I could be very egotistical and say, sister, I ain't got time to hear that. Wait a minute. I got things to do. I got to go to sleep. I got to be at work in the morning. I got things to do. I got to be in the studio. But because I care about her and I want to hear what she got to say, it's not small no more. It's big to me now. Y'all feel my picture?
I mean, that's a deep thought. I'm about to.
I do.
I want to end it on this.
That's not hard talking. That's our Creator talking.
That's true, and I want to end it.
Y'all my brothers, y'all my sisters, y'all everything to me.
I appreciate it. Brother, what's your name? What's your name?
You said, what do you mean by being big or small? Okay, let me reiterate this again before I get off this phone, because I'm about to get off the phone. Okay, sister, when you wake up in the morning, what do you have to wake up to? Describe your life when you wake up in the morning.
Oh, boy. I wake up.
Describe it. When you wake up, when the sun hits your eyes and you have to wake up, what do you have to go through?
I go to no one anymore. I wake up to a sad reality. I wake up and I'm being radiated, so it's not a regular situation. Like back in the day, I wake up and the first thing I say is thank you, Allah.
We don't know nothing about that. We're not living up there where you at. Describe a morning when you wake up in the city that you wake up in. Describe it.
Well, as soon as I wake up, I feel radiated. But I, dress up and I step outside, and when I step outside my door, there are people gang stalking me, and they on their license plates it says "Get busy." It says, I have messages of going out and being I'm being coerced to have sex, and there's a lot of messages and symbolism that is communicating that. When I pass by certain groups, Latinos or Indians, and if I don't talk to them or cajole them or kiss up to them, I'm seriously harmed. Or I come back home in the evening and my face changed. That's my reality.
Did y'all hear this, brothers? Huh? Mm-hmm. Talking to our queens right now. This is what she goes through during her day. She shouldn't be going through that. They need to respect our queens. I mean, really. We go to sleep at night. You might have your baby mama, whoever you're going to sleep with.
Oh, they know we got the
phone talking about what she's going through.
Right, and on that note, we're going to end it. Oh, brother, hold up. We're going to end it on that note because I've been on the phone for 2+ hours doing this. But I want to thank everybody for chiming in. We got a part 2 tomorrow, so I'll promote that. I'm not that hard to find. My number is 901-299-8255. 4355. I'll repeat it again. Area code 901
Sister, can you write that down?
994355.
And what's your number, brother? You're the artist.
No, we gonna talk. Don't worry about that.
Oh, okay. I don't know that you have my information, but I love to speak.
Well, it's well, we have it. They can listen to the replay. I want to thank everybody once again for this very important discussion. It went all over the place, but it really was in the right place all along. So I want to thank everybody. In the words of the great discussion, we love you all madly. Keep on producing and pushing. Thank you so much, everybody.
Right.
Yes, sir.